Happy Friday, everyone. Here's the last episode or last live of our meal prep series. So, before we get started, over the last 3 weeks, we were collecting all the ends and trimmings of everything we were doing, and in order to make a stock. So, today, with our baked beans, we're going to need some liquid. So I decided let's take what we had and make a stock. So basically, a quick run through is grab all your peelings and put them in the pot, and then put water, probably about an inch or a knuckle. And that's always a good measure. Is always this knuckle right here on your finger. Just bring your water up to there, and then let it simmer. Not a hard rolling boil, but a nice simmer. So just happy bubbles popping along. We've cut it down, but happy bubbles simmering along for about 30 minutes to 45 minutes, enough to get this a nice color. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to strain it in here like that. You're going to see we're going to get a really nice color. Don't worry of some of this stuff. It's in there, and there we go. We've got some lovely stock that we will use for our beans. So, real simple. You can keep this in the fridge, and then whenever you need to add something to your soup or make a soup or you need some extra liquid, there it is. You can either put it in ice cube trays, designated, and freeze them, and take them out as you need them if you need to add a little bit of flavor to a sauce and things like that. Add your vegetable stock to roasted chicken bones afterwards as well. It's a good starter, extra flavor for a stock. So there you go, a simple way to make stock that you can always have on hand. So today I'm going to show you or walk you through 3 different ways of making homemade baked beans. I'll be making mine in the Instapot today. And one thing that you have to keep in mind with the Instapot is that because it's a pressure cooker, you're going to need less liquid. So the recipe that we're going to make today, you're only going to use probably about a cup of broth. If you don't have broth, water works just as well. Apple juice. And if you're going to use apple juice, guys, I would avoid adding the brown sugar or the honey that I'm going to add today, because your apple juice will be sweet enough. So we're going to start off with a cup of stock. Okay, so to make beans, we'll need beans. You're going to grab your favorite dry bean. It could be kidney beans, it could be soldier beans, navy beans, black-eyed peas. I've got these yellow-eyed peas today. All you're going to do is you're going to put and soak them overnight. If you want to take, a lot of people have a hard time digesting beans. If you put a teaspoon or a couple teaspoons of baking soda in your water when you soak the beans, what it'll do is it'll break down the fart factor for your beans, and then you won't have those intestinal problems. I'm not promising you, it's just going to lessen that whole thing. But I mean, if everyone's eating beans, who cares, right? So first off, these were soaked overnight. You leave them in the fridge overnight, and then all we're going to do is we are going to drain them and then rinse them off. And that's going to get rid of any kind of... And then check your beans. There might be a couple that are broken, or there might be just skins and stuff. So, and there we go. And I forgot to mention, any bean that floats, you just get rid of, because it's no good. So there we go. Grab our beans, put them back in our bowl. And there we go. So, and then we're just going to add them to our Instapot pot, or your slow cooker pot, or a Dutch oven, or a regular pot that has a lid that you can seal, or you can just put foil over top of it if you're going to put it in the oven. Okay? So to that, I'm going to add... These are 2 smaller onions, so you'd add like a medium onion would work just as well. And then again, we're going to save this for the next stock that I'm going to be making. And again, cutting your onions, you can cut them if you want. They're basically just for flavor. So if you have kids like me who aren't fans of onions, but I mean the flavor they don't care about, they just don't like the texture and stuff like that, you could just toss them in, have them, and then toss them in like that. And then once you're done, you can just fish them out, and you'll have the flavor. I keep them in there anyway. My kids don't like them, so I just dice them really, really fine, and they kind of dissolve in the whole mess. But again, you don't have to worry about it. I'm just going to give them a quick lyonnaise, a quick julienne, or a slice. You can add garlic to this as well, but we're showing you a really quick and easy and something that you have on hand. And if you're going to add garlic, a couple cloves. Add that to our beans. Now, if we were looking to have it vegetarian, then I wouldn't be adding what I'm adding in next. We're going to add some bacon. We'll probably be about half a cup of bacon. Sliced, thinly sliced. You can just put the rashes in just like that. It doesn't really matter. However you want. If you've got some salt pork or some pork belly, just take the rind off and then toss that right in. That'll be really, really nice as well. And there we go. So there we go. We're going to add our cup of liquid. Now, if you're going to do this in the slow cooker or in the oven, again, we're going to bring it up like you would with your stock, up to your first knuckle, above the rest of the things. Okay, and to this I'm going to add a half a cup of barbecue sauce. You can use ketchup for this recipe, but I'm definitely not a fan of ketchup. So I'm going to use this fancy ketchup known as barbecue sauce. And doesn't matter what kind. Your favorite kind, this kind that's in the fridge, the kind that's on sale, the kind that you got in the food box that you may have gotten. It doesn't really matter, ketchup. If you don't have any ketchup or you don't have any barbecue sauce, just about a half cup of tomato sauce will work just as well too. Alright, so to that we're going to add a couple of tablespoons of Dijon mustard. If you don't have Dijon mustard, you can use some dry mustard. The same amount, a couple tablespoons. Add some apple cider vinegar. That's a couple tablespoons too. And a couple tablespoons of honey because I have honey, but you can use brown sugar if you'd like. Or none if you don't want to add any more, but it kind of gives it a really nice sweetness to your beans. And if you're adding ketchup, ketchup is a lot sweeter as well, so you may not have to add that. And then to this, our recipe calls for a quarter cup of molasses. The batch you'll see I made, I want them deeper and darker. I want them browner, so I'm going to add another quarter cup. So I'm putting in a half cup of molasses today. But again, like I said, with recipes, it's all about how you like it. And I've made these beans a few times, so it's kind of what I want to do. So, just going to give these a good mix. It's going to look just like that. And then I'm just going to pop this in my Instapot and just hit the bean button on it and let it go. If you don't have an Instapot, what you're going to do is you're going to grab a container that can go in the oven. So anything that's stainless metal, if you've got a nice Dutch oven, which would work really, really great. If you have a nice earthenware container, like I've got a bean pot at home, that works wonderful for beans. My Mamea used to, at Christmas time, she had one as well that she used to put on the fire downstairs, and that was a wonderful Christmas tradition for us, is Mamea's baked beans on the wood fire. So if you have something like that, but anything that will go into the oven, what we'll do now is you just grab foil or a tight-fitting lid, you put it over top, you set your oven to about 300, 325 degrees, and then you slide it in there until your beans are tender. So that's roughly 4 to 6 hours, give or take. Or you can do it in the Instapot. Again.
Slow cooker.
What's that? Sorry, slow cooker. Thank you, Shanna. You can do it in the slow cooker. You would put the same amount of liquid. So the amount of liquid in here, Shanna, if you want to bring this back here, this is for the Instapot. But if you're going to put it into the slow cooker, say, you're going to want to bring that water up just a little higher. So you'd want to bring it up to the half mark that you see right here. That'll give you probably enough to, yeah, that'll bring it up to right about here. So, slow cooker beans, you put them in, you put them on high, and you let them go for, again, another 4 to 6 hours, maybe a little bit longer, until your beans are nice and tender. And there you go. And when you're done, you'll get something that looks like this, that you can serve with, like many Maritimers, their favorite brown bread. I've got this lovely naan that I'm going to serve it with. And there we go. A meal, complete meal, or a side for a meal, absolutely. You can make these ahead of time. Put them in Ziploc bag and let it cool. Put them in Ziploc bags in the portion sizes you want. So if your family eats, you make a big batch and your family eats, you can eat them in 2 batches. You take them, you put them in the freezer. You can also, at this point right here, is put all of this before even putting it into the slow cooker. You can put these and you can put it into the freezer, wrap them up. And then again, like we did last week with your meat, take it out, thaw it in the fridge overnight, pop it into your Instapot, pop it into your slow cooker, and cook away that way too. So that concludes our month of meal prep. If you have any other questions, or honestly guys, if there's anything you guys want to touch on, like today, the baked beans. I wasn't going to do baked beans, but my buddy Nate said, Chef, I'd like to learn how to make baked beans. Can you show us how? So I said, absolutely. So Nate, this one's for you, buddy. Baked beans, all kinds of different ways. Hope you enjoyed. And like I said, it doesn't have to be navy beans. It doesn't have to be soldier beans or the white beans. It can be any kind of bean that you'd like. Any bean that strikes your fancy. If you want to try it with tried chickpeas, be my guest. That'd be great. All right. So that's all for today. And we'll see you next Friday. Thanks a lot.